think what we have seen over the last 6-8 months, that is basically focusing outside the big cities. I think, and that goes both in Sweden, as mentioned by Andrew, but also in Denmark now, that there is cities outside Copenhagen, and people tend also to now believe that people will live there in 10 years. So basically the secondary market is starting to, I think, peak, and I think there will be good opportunities out there. And I feel comfortable that there will also be room for some of these vehicles which Andrews referred to, because some of the institutional investors, they will look for secondary, but they will not have direct investments. They would like indirect investments. So I think that will be obvious.
There's a huge loan book out at the moment in Denmark, and we're just signed up to act buy side for a loan. So it's about €1 billion, and that will have multiple assets across Denmark that are, as you say, secondary and tertiary locations. The liquidity of these types of assets, again, I think I mentioned before, if you'd asked us to try and sell some of these B-grade, C-grade locations, and particularly B-grade assets in these locations, it would have been next to impossible. Liquidity, I think in terms of an exit for some of these things, I really believe in the IPO route. I think the OMX, or the Swedish Stock Exchange, has about 125 billion SEK that's the market cap, and I think there's a great interest in that from a tradable perspective. So that's on the big assets. Ricky and I were talking before we came on. I think there will be continued, and I agree with Ricky on this, there will be continued, or maybe it was one of the other Patricia research people, but I think there will be a continued interest from the Nordic, the pension funds. The largest property company in Sweden is Vasakronan. It's equally backed by the Swedish pension funds. So they are very. That's a €6 billion Swedish-only propco that's owned by the Swedish pension funds. It will continue to acquire local assets, and it will continue to look at opportunities such as these. So there will definitely be liquidity for that type of product. But maybe on the loan book side of things, that's the Situs area of expertise.
I think that's a game changer, basically, because this huge portfolio in secondary and tertiary, that's really a new feature. And last year and the year before, that would have been a single asset wind down, basically try to sell it off to local investors. Now we're talking about basically be able to make portfolios out of that, and that is definitely new. I think that was kicked off by Oaktree and M7's acquisition, I think last year, which was actually funded by Danish mortgage banks, and I'm happy I didn't make that bet, because I would have lost. but I think it says a lot about how the sentiment is going. But it will be very. I think it's actually 1.3 billion on loan book, so it's a huge portfolio sale coming up. So very, very interesting. But all the usual suspects are there. There's definitely an interest. I think the seller, which is Financial Stability, the government-owned entity, they would have hoped for 5 bidders, because that would have been a nice, easy loan sale. But they will have a lot of interest in that. So we will know before Christmas who ends up buying that. But I think the other side of that is also basically a loan sale like that, or looking into the secondary and tertiary, the interest there would be who should asset manage those portfolios afterwards, because that is not plain vanilla. It is really hands-on, and you need to have a widespread network of people handling this, because you have a very short wall on these. You need to relet them. You need to basically the whole added value, and I think that's also where we will see some more professionalism coming into at least Denmark. I think Sweden is once again ahead, but at least in Denmark we need to review the asset managers, and I think we will see new asset manager coming up over the next year or two.